Recording in progress.
Welcome everyone back to our cardio class. So this is week 10. This is our second to last cardio session of the summer term. Our final session will be on Wednesday, and then that session will probably go pretty light. As we're closing out the class. So just this last week as we're transitioning to end the term and going into fall, which starts in about 3 weeks. 3 weeks from today, August 17th is the first day of fall. So usually the last week we go a little bit more chill, but we'll still get a good workout. But we'll go ahead and start with the warm up right now. And if you haven't enrolled for the fall classes, you still have maybe a couple more weeks before we finalize those classes, because sometimes some classes, if they don't get enough numbers, they will get canceled. So I think we're fairly safe with most of my classes. I think there's one class where I still need like 1 or 2 people, but we should be good. But let's go ahead and start with our warm-up. We'll start stand up, and then we'll transition to our cardio workout, which is going to be somewhere in the 30 to 40 second range. We're kind of done with the 50-second range as we're getting our foot off the pedal a little bit. Okay, so let's go left to right over here. And then Jeff just got back after 29 days. I think he started by Yosemite, right, and finished near Whitney.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's called the John Muir Trail, and it goes from officially it goes from Yosemite Valley, and then it finishes at the top of Mount Whitney, which is kind of weird because you obviously can't stay up there.
Yeah. So you did the whole trail?
Well, we started in Tuolumne Meadows, which is still technically in Yosemite National Park, but it's not in the valley. It's really hard to get a permit that starts in the valley. Okay. So ours was about 24 miles less and a pretty good pass, so a pretty good uphill. It was me and my two cousins. My two cousins are avid hikers. They're older, 67 and 70. Okay. And so we went at a slower pace, and they've all done the John Muir Trail before, and my female cousin has done the Pacific Crest Trail, which goes from Mexico to Canada.
Yeah.
So, we took off. Our average was supposed to be only like 7 miles a day. And we just kind of cruised, and we stayed in a few lodges and cabins along the way, and just kind of had a nice leisurely stroll. We had a little bit of bad weather toward the end, but we were able to still go up Mount Whitney at the end, because the day before there's no way, a thunder lightning storm and everything that threatened our day, but we were able to do it.
Nice.
So it was a lot of fun. Nothing like your adventures. It was more of a stroll, but it's overall you climb about 40,000 feet. You just keep going up and down through these passes.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. Not a lot of snow, low snow year, which is nice, because then when you go over the passes, you don't have a lot of snow, and also river crossings can be really high and treacherous if there's a lot of snow melt.
Jeez.
So yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's no. What I did is a joke compared to what you did. You did over maybe like 100 miles?
It ends up being what we did, because you got to get down off the mountain and stuff. It's close to 200. The official trail is like 211 miles, but then again, like I said, you got to do another 11 to get off of the top of Whitney and down to like the Whitney Portal and Lone Pine.
No, yeah, I only did 18 miles with 1,000 feet of climbing. You did 200 with 40,000. Yeah. you for sure.
Yeah, but we were walking. That's different. It was more of a hey, look at that, and stopping and taking pictures and hanging out and talking to other hikers, and it was very relaxing and not stressful.
Awesome. Yeah, I was looking at the GPS link you sent me like every other day, and I was just like, oh man, like they hiked a lot this day, and then there's some days that look like a little bit less than others. But I think when I saw you guys getting closer to Whitney, I want to say that same day I saw someone on social media post um, this crazy flash flood near Mount Whitney, and just
Yeah.
lightning, and like it looked intense. And I was
It
like,
was.
oh shoot, like I know Jeff is in that area right now. Like I hope they're all right.
Yeah, no, we had to just jump in our tents and ride it out. It was a solid 4 hours of hail and rain,
Oh wow.
and like there's a big puddle that formed underneath my tent, so it felt like I was like laying on a waterbed.
Oh jeez. Wow. Yeah, dang. Hailing for 4 hours. I've only been in hail for like 5 minutes.
It was like not quite marble size hail, but it was pretty big pieces.
yeah.
I was just hoping my tent was gonna hold up.
Oh man. That's awesome though. Yeah. That's super cool. I'm glad. Yeah. I hope one day to do something like that.
When's your mammoth run?
So that's September. That's actually, oh shoot, exactly 2 months from today.
Okay.
So yeah, so 2 months from today, that's 50K, so it's 31 miles, and I
Right.
believe it climbs. I need to double check, but I want to say close to 4,000 feet. And I think so. Next month, I'm going to Mammoth for our cross country camp. We leave August 15th and we come back August 21st. And while we're up there, I think I want to run that week maybe like 60 to 65 miles up there for that week. And I also want to preview the race course. So I think I'll probably split up the distance of the race, which is 31 miles, into like 3 10-mile runs, and I'll try to kind of at least preview it so I know what to expect come race day. But I think for this race, let's go with our hamstring stretch. My hamstrings are really tight. That's one thing that I was really nervous about this weekend. My hamstrings. So slide down and then extend. I think for this last race on Saturday, I had one of the goals was to run a specific time, and then for Mammoth, I think the the goal is gonna be just to finish. So I'm not gonna put that pressure on myself of running a certain time, because it's I'm bypassing. Now when people ask me, oh, have you ever ran a marathon? I'm gonna say like no, but I've done an ultra marathon. Because now it's gonna be, let's do a deep squat. But it's also a lot more taxing on the body. That's at 8,000 to 10,000 feet of elevation. It's climbs so much, and it's 31 miles. So I think I just have to go into it with a more not relaxed approach, but with a different sense of goals for this one. And I've never approached a race for the goals just to finish the race. So hopefully it goes smooth, because I think if I start cramping up at mile 15 of a 31-mile race, it's gonna be a long day. So yeah, I'll be doing a lot of walking if that happens. Home. Alrighty. So, as mentioned, we're going to be doing our cardio session, and it's not going to be very long. It's going to be, we'll aim for 40 seconds, and we'll do, let's do each block just so we could squeeze in as much as we can. Maybe we'll do 3 rounds of 5-minute blocks. We'll start our first block with like our easier movements, and then as the workout progresses, we'll just throw in some more challenging in there. I don't want to make like a 5-minute block that's just hard movement completely. So we'll just try to plug in 1 or 2 in like the final two blocks of our movements here. Okay, so let's go ahead, give yourself some space, grab some water, and then we'll start right now. good. Oof. Yeah, right now, my neck, my hamstrings, my hips are okay because that was a big one this weekend. But my hamstrings, they've been feeling funky for a good minute now. Starting to work out. All right, so our first set, we're gonna go ahead again, pretty easy. We're gonna go cross knees, right here. Then opposite heels, okay. Then we're gonna go with hooks right here. Then curtain closers, and then hand to opposite foot, okay. So that's gonna be our first 5. We're aiming for 40 seconds of each one, okay. Let me find my timer. And as we recall, I usually, with training, not just myself, but as we see progression, from when we're doing a lot, we still need like a down week or a relaxed week. So I would say to use this as that relaxed week as we're closing out. So we probably had one of these weeks on week 5. Now we're doing it again on week 10, okay? So don't be too hard on yourselves. This is just a little reward as we're finishing off the term. And then the next 2 weeks, we just want to make sure that, you know, you could watch some of the recordings. You could back it off from 6 days to maybe 2 or 3 days, but definitely do some walking. Just keep moving. And yeah, we'll be back on it on August 17th. All right, we're going to start with...
I'm gonna need my buddy, Carmen and
What's
Ella.
that?
Motivate me to get on YouTube.
Yeah, so, and then I have some of you on that group chat. I could add more if people want to be in a group chat, or I could start a new one. And I could just like, you know, say good morning, hello. If you feel like doing something today, I recommend this video. And then
Okay.
I could do something like that too, so.
Yeah,
Alright.
that would help.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Alright, here we go with our cross knees in 3, 2, 1, go. So just right here. Oh, I forgot, I'm not doing these today. So I'm like, yay. So again, but we're just doing these here. Alright, for 30 to 40 seconds. I'm just demonstrating. This is how I used to teach for like a whole year when I was trying to gain weight and not do any cardio. I would just tell you folks what to do. I did that for a whole year. Ella probably remembers me. My cheeks were a little bit puffier. Debbie, you probably remember too. We're at 30 seconds. I'm at about 150 pounds right now. During those days, I was at about 190, 195, and time. Okay, 20 seconds rest. Next is heels to opposite glutes. Yeah, if you just want to be included into the group chat, just go ahead and you can message me directly or email me your cell phone number, and I'll just make a new group chat and I'll send those videos out. 3, 2, 1, and go. So again, just heel to opposite glute. Oof. Yeah, the last 2 miles when I was cramping up, I just this lady who was doing the 9-mile race was running about the same pace as I was, so I just tried to stay with her as much as I could. So she pushed me to make it all the way to the finish line. 30 seconds. And yeah, once she saw the finish line, she took off on me. So she beat me by like 20 seconds. And time, that's 40 seconds there. Okay, next we're gonna go ahead and do our cross hooks right here. We'll start in 10 seconds. Whew. Yeah, I forgot it's 2 months from today. Man. 3, 2, 1, go. So here. Whew. I'm gonna try to run a bit more this week. But the nice thing about training now is I don't have to prioritize the heat training. Over the last month or 2, I've been making a big jump. Alright, 30 seconds into forcing myself to run out in the heat because of this race that just happened. And honestly, it wasn't as hot as I thought it was going to be. And time. Okay, curtain closers. So punch and reach. Yeah, it started at about 91 degrees, and by the time I finished the race, it was probably like 78, 79. But I've had some runs here that were 85 degrees that felt a lot hotter. And go ahead. So curtain closers. Yeah, so now the priority is just to run far. Get some good running in, run far. Make sure I'm staying healthy. 20 seconds. $30 seconds. And time. 40 seconds, right? Last one is going to be our hands to opposite feet. So just right here. Okay. Oh, that one. Oh, my hamstring's done right there. 3, 2, 1, go. All right. So hand to opposite foot. So the race organizers, they owe me a third place mug. So supposedly I won a mug for taking third place in the 30K, but they didn't have it there when I finished. So they said they're gonna mail it to me. So, but to be honest, I don't know if I want it because we have so many mugs here at home already. So if I get it, I'm just gonna have it here in the garage. It's gonna be my trophy. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, time. All right, this is gonna be our 2 minutes rest. So grab your water. All right, and we're gonna go ahead and do our next set. So we're gonna go with skater jumps. So again, right here, left to right. So you could do a big bound, or you could just, if we're not feeling too great, just be weight bearing on one side and the other. That's gonna be it there. Then we're gonna go ahead and do, for a little bit more movement and mobility, we're gonna do ice skaters, which is leaning left to right here. Okay, so skaters to ice skaters to high knee progression, which is gonna be march, then skip, and then run. Okay. After that, we're gonna go with Heisman knee drive shuffle. So 1, 2, 3, high knee, 1, 2, 3, high knee. That's gonna be our number 4. And then our last one's gonna be bunny hops, our jump ropes, okay? That's gonna be it. Actually, we do need a hard one in there. So instead of bunny hops, we'll add that to the last one. Let's do power jacks. So power jacks will be these, okay? So I have 30 seconds. So skaters to ice skaters to high knee progression to Heisman to power jacks. Yeah, I'm bummed about that sleep aid that I bought. That was gonna really like punch me and knock me out and go to sleep, and it didn't do that at all. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. So again, side to side. A little bit of weight bearing. Keep it going. Oh yeah, Jeff, I saw that. All right. Yeah, Jeff. So I asked 3, 2, 1, and time. Okay. So now we're gonna go with ice skaters. So here. Okay. We're gonna start those in 15 seconds. Yeah, Jeff, I asked, I think it might have been like the first week you were on your trip. So I'll give you the course number. I'll email you. So you know what classes to add. So, but yeah, that should be open. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, I was only given a window of about 8 days to re-enroll folks. So I had to send out emails. I had to hear back from them. A lot of that stuff happened in the live classes, and then I had to re-enroll, and I had to get confirmation too. I couldn't just add people in there because I know some instructors in the past have re-enrolled folks without asking them, and then there's some confusion and conflict. So, but I'll send you the course information for that. So it's 2 classes, well, 4 classes. And time, that's 40 seconds. All right, next we have our high knee progression. Okay, so remember, we march for 15 seconds, we skip for 15, and then we run for 15. We'll start in 10 seconds. Yeah, the bad water starts, I think, does it start today? I think it starts later tonight, right? 3, 2,
Yeah, right.
1, and go. 15 seconds of just high knee marches. Yeah, so for those of you that don't know, the bad water, it's 135 miles. Starts in Death Valley and goes up, finishes at the Whitney Portal. And all right, now march. And the people that do those are crazy because it's the hottest time of the year. You start at the lowest point in the US and then you climb to the highest, and then high knee drive. So now we're running. Okay. Yeah, I'm following one guy that's doing it, and he won the Cocodona, the Moab 240, and time. Okay, Heisman shuffle. Remember, we're doing this, and then going back. We'll start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So yeah, so there's one of the guys that actually got me into trail running. He's doing the Badwater tonight, and he's actually from Orange County. I think he grew up in Newport or Costa Mesa, and yeah, he's doing it. But he dropped out of the Cocodona, I think 200, you know, back in April or May, and then he had I think he's recovering from that, so hopefully it goes well for him. 10 more seconds. Yeah, I don't know if I would ever do the Badwater. And time. Okay, and then lastly, power jacks. So we're here doing these. Yeah, you need such a legit group of people to help you out too for that Badwater. You need a team doctor, I believe. You need 2 vans of assistants. I don't know how many pairs of shoes you need as well, because the sole of the shoes do melt. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So power jacks. I'll probably watch some of the streaming of that later tonight. Keep it going. That's what's cool about some of these big ultra races, is now there's actual live streaming, so they treat it like a live sporting event. And with YouTube, you didn't see that stuff 5 years ago. Keep it going. We're at 30 seconds. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. All right, 2 minutes rest. All right, next we have, this is going to be 4 movements. We're going to do our reverse lunge kick, 30 seconds on each side. Okay, then pop squats. Pop squats. Okay, this is kind of like your tougher set. Then bunny hops. And then we'll finish off with inchworms. Okay, so inchworms, you're here, and then come back up. Whew. I apologize if most of this class was spent talking today, but I get excited talking about this stuff. 30 seconds, we'll start. Next class should be a little bit easier. You have some core and some posture work. I took so many of like the free stuff that they have at the aid station at the end. They were like, take whatever you want. So I was taking all these little snacks, brought them home with me. All right, reverse lunge kick, ready and go. So here. Keep it going. 30 seconds on each side. All right, 15 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, switch legs. Non-stop, just transition to the next one. Fifteen more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. All right, pop squats are next. We'll start those in 20 seconds. So again, that's here. All right. So this weekend, if anyone's interested, the meet organizer that put out the race I just did, she's doing another race in 3, 2, 1, and go. Pop squats. She's putting in another race this weekend in Mission Viejo. Okay, so if for some reason you want to help out and be a volunteer, there's always the nice reward where she gives you a complimentary entry for the next one of the next few races that she puts on. So if you're interested, let me know and I could try to connect you with her. And yeah, you just pretty much, some people are just helping in the parking lot, redirecting traffic, and some people are just helping with registration or giving out fruit or, you know, water. And yeah, that gets you $150 registration for free and time. Okay, next we have our bunny hops. Okay, so again, bunny hops right here. We'll start in 10 seconds. That's what I did for this race. I volunteered for a race 3 months ago for 3 hours, and then the entry fee got covered, which was $160. And go ahead, begin. Bunny hops. And usually the race distances that they have are usually sometimes between like a 10-kilometer race to like maybe 50 kilometers. So you get to pick which one you want. So you don't have to feel obligated to, well, I don't want to volunteer if I have to run 30 miles. It's not like that. You decide what you want to do. Or you could just volunteer if you don't want to compete. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And our very last movement here is going to be inchworms. Okay, so we're here. And again, just crawl out into a high plank and then come back. Okay, we'll start in 10 seconds. Yeah, the race I believe is by the Mission Viejo San Juan Capistrano area. 3, 2, 1, and go. Last one. Gotta upload this video. Keep it going. I need to go take like 4 Advils right now. Or turmeric. Turmeric might be better for my liver and kidneys. 10 more seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time. Alrighty. So go ahead and cool down. Do a little bit of stretching. I'm gonna do the next stretch here if you want to follow along, but again, I'm doing for personal reasons. Just gonna sit on my right hand. Come along this way. How are we feeling? Jeff, how are we feeling after first workout after a month of hiking? Good switch. That didn't feel too bad. Oh. Yeah, we had some people traveling last week, and I think some folks are traveling this week. I think Josefina and Ramon are going to Yosemite, then Lake Tahoe, then San Francisco, and then going through Big Sur. I'm jealous of them, envious of that trip. Just gonna do snow angels here. Yeah, if you've never explored any of these areas, please, it's worth it. I know sometimes we think about, oh, one day I want to go to Europe or Hawaii. It's like, we have Yosemite down the street. You know, you don't need to, doesn't take as much planning as some of these, you know, trips across the world. I'm sure there's a lot of people in all over the world that want to come to Yosemite, and this is a thing, we have it in our backyard. Very good. Alright, we will be doing more posture stuff and stability, so for the next class, expect to be a little bit more on the chair, standing, doing some movements, and then on the floor as well. But any questions before we head out? Alright folks, I'll see you back. Hopefully I see most of you back at 9 o'clock. Alright, so, alright, see you soon. I'm gonna end this recording. Bye folks.